Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm here today bringing you my Kraber sniper guide for Titanfall 2. Now, much like my other weapon guides, we'll be taking a look at some of the tips and strategies that may help you see success with this weapon. On top of that, we'll also talk about the difficulties and struggles that you'll face along the way. And trust me, when it comes to the Kraber, there are going to be a lot more of the latter and a lot less of the former. Let me actually start by talking a bit about the Kraber rifle itself. It's a bit of a contradiction, but it's also a bit of a showman's weapon. I think that's the best way to look at it. It's a weapon that's more about glory than it is about actual efficiency and effectiveness. And when you accept that, and when you really embrace the one or two great kills that you have during a match and ignore all of the failures that you have along the way, you'll have a lot more fun with this thing. Keep in mind that we're also talking about using the Kraber on an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 controller. We're not talking about PC Kraber here today. So PC Kraber people, you guys go over there, you're lucky. Just be happy you've got your precision and your snap mouse aiming. You know, we're over here, we're doing it the hard way, man. We're doing it the hard way. And you know what? It's kind of worth it at the end of the day. I've had a lot of fun with the Kraber. Being the Kraber killer on stream was a lot of fun. Again, there's definitely some frustration that you're just gonna run into it. It's impossible to avoid a certain level of frustration with this weapon. But man, oh man, when you land that shot at full chap, just like running across the wall, stim, you fade backwards, you're facing the other direction as you're flying through the air, and boom, just headshot that guy who was on, you know, on the railway in Eden. It just feels damn good. And all of the failures you had, at least for like 3 seconds before that fade away. The rest, they're still burning in your brain. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. Let's move forward. I mentioned that the Kraber was a bit of a contradiction, and that actually leads me to my first piece of advice. Probably the biggest piece of advice that I can give you when it comes to using the Kraber. So if you looked at the basic concept, the design of the Kraber, you might think that it makes the perfect sort of, you know, concealment long-range sniper rifle. It has an incredibly slow reload, so racking each round takes a day, and then reloading the magazine takes about 7 days, and you don't get many shots. So with that being said, if that's all you knew about the Kraber, you'd say, well, then I'm gonna like stay out of the enemy's line of sight. You know, I'm really gonna pull myself away from the battle and engage from a distance. That would work if the Kraber wasn't projectile based, and if that projectile didn't travel slower than a dog. Dogs are actually pretty quick, so that didn't make any sense. But you get what I'm saying here. The projectile travel speed of the Kraber is ridiculously slow. So long-range, excessive long-range engagements are a no-go, especially in a game like Titanfall 2. This isn't, you know, Battlefield where people are running in one direction. This is Titanfall 2. People are moving on all planes, like the full 3D environment. They're up, they're down, they're in the sky, they're on the ground, they're grappling, they're stimming, they're strafing, they're 360ing, they're sliding. The chances of you being able to put a round on a target that requires more than like 3 to 4 inches of scope lead is slim to none. So long-range engagements with the Kraber, they're not consistent, they're not effective. That's not where you're going to see success. So what you need to find to be truly successful with the Kraber is what I call the sweet spot. Now the sweet spot is actually dependent on your personal skill level. So your reaction time, your effectiveness, your accuracy with the Kraber, that's the first point. That's the point that moves you closer or further away from the enemies that you're going to be engaging. The other point is your maximum distance, which you want to keep as low as possible. The idea here is to be close enough to the enemy so you can eliminate the projectile speed issue that the Kraber has. You're basically trying to compensate for how slow the projectile travels by being as close to the targets that you're going to engage as possible. Again, though, you can't be so close that you can't engage a target quickly enough to get a kill before they kill you. So take into account your personal reaction time, your personal precision, your personal performance with this rifle, and use that to find your sweet spot. That's what I've done, and I found that close to sometimes really close range engagements with the Kraber are where I'm most successful, which is why maps like Boomtown, Exoplanet, Eden, you know, these are maps that I end up doing really well on because they provide a lot of, you know, sort of enclosed, nice lines of sight. They're like the perfect distance for the Kraber. You don't have to deal too much with the projectile speed then, but you have plenty of areas to sort of hide yourself, to minimize your exposure while still being in the thick of it and still engaging targets. That's my number one piece of advice. Honestly, that is the biggest thing you can do with the Kraber to be successful. The rest is sort of just standard fair practice makes perfect. You really just need to put time in with this weapon past that to make sure that you don't miss those shots. And remember what I said, increasing your reaction time, increasing your performance and your accuracy, whether you're hip firing, quick scoping, or full scoping. That's going to let you start to close that engagement distance and get even closer to the enemy. Again, minimizing the bullet travel time and its negative effects more and more and more. So that's your main goal here with the Kraber, to see success. Now, of course, there are some things you can do to sort of assist you along the way. Number one being the kit that you decide to run in the Kraber. The only thing that I'm going to force on you is fast ADS. Please, for your own sanity, do not run anything other than fast ADS. It is completely necessary to be able to full scope as quickly as possible. I find that the Kraber is most effective, especially as an early Kraber user, when you full scope. Quick scoping and hip firing, that stuff's really difficult. That comes down the line. You might get a few lucky shots off, and I'm not saying that you should never go for those shots. Definitely do, because when you land them, again, it's a boost of confidence, and it's a boost in that fun factor. But full scope as often as you can. And remember that because this weapon is projectile-based, you can drag scope. So the idea being here to not be afraid to adjust your scope while you're pulling the trigger. If a target starts to move, just keep putting that scope on the target. Really, because the Kraber is such a potent one-shot kill weapon, you just have to hit them anywhere. So as long as your reticle is on the pilot, whether it's their foot, their leg, or their head, pull the trigger, keep tracking them as you pull the trigger, and chances are you're going to get that shot, especially if you're close enough and in an engagement distance where you don't have to compensate for bullet travel time. That's why I really push that sweet spot so much, man. It becomes more of a point-and-shoot weapon at that point. Put the reticle on the target, keep following the target, pull the trigger. Don't stop following the target until they are absolutely dead. Fast ADS, again, really going to help you with this. Now, when it comes to your second kit on the Kraber, it's completely up to you. I run Speed Loader. I like being able to reload the full magazine a bit quicker. Maybe you want Tactical. Again, it's absolutely 100% personal preference here. Let's talk Pilot Tactical, though. I personally run Stim. I like Stim because I'm all about positioning with the Kraber. I like to get the best lines of sight. I like to try and get big flanks with this thing too. I find that it's way easier to get behind the enemy to engage them, again, to sort of minimize my actual exposure. The last thing I want to do is try and go head to head with the Hemlock. I'm going to get one bursted, and that's going to be the end of that. So Stim works for me, but maybe you want to use Cloak. Maybe Cloak is your concealment factor. That's how you sit in the middle of the enemy. You wait for them to stand still, and then you pick them off. Again, what works best for you? Practice, mess around with the different kits, find one that fits your Kraber killer mentality, and just run with it, man. Run with it, practice with it, and see how things turn out a week or 2 weeks down the line. Now, I'm going to urge you guys to run a pistol backup, just like I did in my Kraber killer loadout. And here is my reasoning behind this. I know some people say, well, if you want to get good with one weapon, why wouldn't you just always use that weapon? I'm not telling you to not use the Kraber. I'm telling you to be okay with missing your first shot on a target that's 3 inches away from you, and then pulling out your pistol to kill that target. There will always be another shot, and another shot, and another shot with the Kraber. The last thing you want to do is abandon that opportunity to survive because you think you can get a reload off and get another shot. Take your shot, you miss your target. If he's far enough away where you can reload, go ahead. If he's rushing you, switch to pistol, kill target, feel good about what you've just done. Don't feel bad or sad because you didn't get a kill with the Kraber. Then go for the next shot. You've always got that next opportunity to land the shot with the Kraber. Don't worry about using the pistol as a backup to be successful and to survive. Again, it's about minimizing frustration here and maximizing the fun factor when it comes to using the Kraber. As I said at the start of this guide, guys, keep in mind the showmanship aspect of the Kraber. It's about having fun. It's about looking good, even when everything is going so badly. That's the Kraber, ladies and gentlemen, at least when it comes to using it with the controller. Good luck to you out there, all you Kraber killers. I hope to see more Krabers in the coming weeks and days. I've seen a few after the Kraber killer loadout. Challenge yourself and have some fun with this thing. And you know what? It's a great time to get really comfortable with your favorite pistol, or at least a pistol that you simply haven't given a chance. If you guys have any questions or comments for me, as always, feel free to throw them down in the comment section below. Any of you Kraber killers out there, you have any personal tips or strategies you'd like to share for any new Kraber players, feel free to spread the love down in the comment section below. I gotta get back to working on that new closer, so I'll see you in the next one.